thanks for joining us today. And the topic, so we talked a little bit about this. It's Jack and the Beanstalk and the story of brands that grow super tall, super fast. Because today we're seeing companies that grow like really, really fast and become global brands in the span of less than 10 years or even 5 years. And what is it that differentiates them from the others is what we're trying to discover in this particular panel. So some of it, of course, is the innovation of the product, but some of it is also very clever marketing, and some of it definitely is also about how do you go about understanding the consumer, how do you change, how do you keep it going. And I really like at the end of this panel to have an understanding of if I wanted to be a high growth brand, what should I be doing? What should I do differently in order to be a high growth brand? So I'm going to start with you, Amarjit. I mean, quick show of hands, who's heard of OLX? Who sold something on OLX? Who's made new friends on OLX? I actually have an antique expert in Bangalore who met me only through OLX. So I think, within a very short space, you've created a new market and you've become a brand, and so much so that people actually say just OLX it. It's becoming a word in the language. Now, can you tell me something about what is it about the format or what is it about this new economy that helps a brand to grow fast?
Yeah, I think thanks for the question. I think the difference between maybe OLX and maybe others could be a bit there because we actually, when we came in, the category never existed for people to trade. So in a way, it looked like a very possible situation. But if I look back now, it was the reason probably our brand is, done well, is also that we were able to create that category and be associated with the category. So which is actually a rare opportunity for brands. Because normally when a brand enters, the category normally exists and you're trying to be one of the people trying to do the same thing. So I think probably the OLX success is because, maybe some good work done, but also about that we stood for the category, and that's what the generic thing is. If you can pick up what we have learned in this process is that users are, really want clarity in what you do. And if I go back and do something else and I have to create another brand, then I will have to see what do you stand for. I think most of the time when you're trying to build a brand, there's a lack of clarity in terms of you get clouded out by what other people are doing. You don't really actually look at what is this product that you have or what is the service that you have and how is it impacting or changing people's life or what is it that you're solving a problem for them. If you really go deep into it and have insight-based decisions, then I think you can link back to create a very clear positioning for yourself, a very strong value positioning, a very clear positioning, in fact, a very strong value proposition. And then I think consistently, getting to the same message so that people attach, as a brand, you are able to attach yourself to a particular theme of communication, which people take time to digest. Nothing can happen in a day. But if you give the message at the same time, then people relate to you and they connect with you, and then they understand what you stand for. And the moment they understand what you stand for, then I think the job is done, to some extent. Yeah.
So we'll come back to you a bit because when you start, you don't have any competition because you own the space, but later on, competition also comes and still you continue to grow. So we'll come back to you. So Shubhajit, I wanted to understand a little bit about the Micromax story. Again, fast growth. Now, of course, again, there is competition. But what led you all to enter the space and what do you think you did differently to become like this market leader? I think you've kind of overtaken Samsung in some spaces now.
So a little bit about the Micromax story. So first of all, I will say that it's not yet my story because I've been in Micromax just 6 months. But Micromax, it's scary to think that 6 years back, this company wasn't there. And last year we were more than $2 billion, 10th largest in the world, and one of the leading brands in the country. So it's in 6 years, it's gone, and this is real, right? So this is actual
I must
data.
tell you that my mom must be an early adopter because she had one of your bling phones.
Oh yes, that was one of the big successful stories. I think a couple of things if you deconstruct the story. One is you need to have incredible ambition. And I don't think you can ever let go of that ambition just because you've achieved one level of success. You just need to keep feeding that monster, because that, I think, is a prime driver. So Micromax did it when the whole feature phones and the mobile ecosystem was growing, and we were at the right place at the right time. And of course, we played to that story. The last bit that I would say is that this is not just about ambition and being at the right place at the right time. The last thing that you've got to have is you've got to have a view of the market which is slightly different from the incumbents who are there. We forget that when Micromax was launched, there were about 182 brands of mobile phones, apart from the market leaders of Nokia's, etc. 182 brands. There was only one Micromax that emerged, and that's because of the focus on innovation and trying to do something new every literally month. And that's the spirit that still guides us today. Because the day you stop doing that, you're going to be eaten for lunch.
In many ways, that's actually a technology story, as in once you know the customer, how do you kind of track it? Can you talk a little bit about, like, how do I actually get real-time customer insights, and what would I do with it? And how do I make it usable?
I think if you look at, I mean, they're inherently technology-led businesses, and they are for a generation which is, very savvy in terms of consumption of technology, their solutions and services. So I would say the new ways and means that are available today help you do a lot more that you always wanted to do, a lot faster, real time, if you will, and a lot cheaper and quicker, right? I mean, if you compare, many of us have been in this profession for a long time. The era of market research and so on and so forth, and everything had a lag. And in fact, at that point of time, so was technology. You collected your transaction data, then you pulled it out into a separate warehouse, then you researched it, and there was a lag, depending on how large a business you are. So today you can do almost real time. And that's also, I think, not only a function of technology, the way consumer behavior today is. You tweet, you expect immediate response. You say something on digital, you want immediate response. So you don't want people to go figure it out and come back. So lots of traditional structures, even beyond technology, are crumbling. They are struggling to keep pace with what they're doing. I think irrespective of what business you do and when you were established, point is, are you relevant today? And like he said, are you innovating every month, every week, every day? What are you changing? And for that, both, I think, obviously there is no substitute for understanding of the customer need, because everything you do has to be for a real tangible value. You cannot build something, which is not based on a real promise. But then how do you deliver it quicker, faster, cheaper? Technology, absolutely. And today, the other part that has happened is traditionally all data was generated inside the company. You know what they bought from you, you analyzed it, you sliced it, diced it in your Excel sheets, and then you said, well, this is what I'm going to do. But today, as much or more is getting generated outside of your company. Then how do you bring the two together? And a lot of that is defying the traditional idea of data as quantitative data, which you put in tables and then you run statistical tools and all of that stuff. A lot of this data is unstructured. How do you bring them together? How do you do it real time? And then how do you make it available at that point? Because in reality today, you are not choosing how you will engage with the customer. The customer is choosing when, how, where they will engage with you. The point is, are you ready when they come to you?